Hi there, I'm just going to do a little bit on glazing. I get lots of questions about it, and it's really quite an important part of my process because I like to work in layers, and I'm just talking about glazing in acrylics today. You can glaze with water, i.e. all it really means is you can take the paint down so that it's a more translucent appearance. It's not solid as it will be as neat paint, and you can do it just with water. So if I take a little bit of water and a bit of this, this is a manganese blue, and I'm going to come across this swatch here, and you can see you can build up. Now that's on a background that's already glazed, and you can create some really kind of subtle effects with that. Personally, I prefer to use glazing with an acrylic medium. So this is a matte medium, you can use a gloss medium, a fluid medium. There's all different kind of variations, but basically they do the same thing. And it has some advantages. It creates, I think, a more uniform glaze. It's very good in the sense that it will hold the pigment more evenly, so you don't get so many variations. And if you're selling your work in terms of longevity, it's much better. So to work with acrylic medium, you literally just add a little bit to neat paint on your Stay Wet palette, and you can play with how much. You can get away with really quite a lot, or you can just put a tiny amount to create quite a soft glaze that's not got a great deal of paint in it at all. So it depends on the effect you want, but you can see, because I'm building up, you can build up one layer on top of another, and you know, it gives some quite nice, kind of quite subtle effects. So this is another one that's already been glazed. I'm going to come back with, this is a quinacridone colour. This is nickel azo gold, which is a lovely colour to work with. And you can see if I glaze across that, I'm getting, you know, it just allows you to build up very sort of soft, subtle effects. And I'm going to come back, this has got a little bit of white mixed in it. Clearly, if you use white, it's always going to be somewhat opaque, because white as a pigment is opaque. It's a nature of the medium, so it is going to be slightly opaque. But I can come across with a white glaze over the top of that. And, you know, this is lovely for a lot of particularly landscapey effects. I really enjoy that. This is a dried solid base, so I'm going to come in with a bit of white. And this has a bit of medium in it, not a huge amount. So I can create quite a sort of subtle glaze coming across there. And something I did there, I can work through this. I love to use scrape marks, sgraffito in my work. And it's a really interesting thing that you can start to pull away some of the colour that you've applied and reveal the colour underneath. So we can just use, this is a flat palette knife. You can use the end of a brush, you can use a pencil, you know, whatever you feel like, really. And it just gives some really interesting effects. Excuse me. You don't need to use a brush necessarily. You can glaze quite effectively with a bit of paper tissue. I'm going to load that up with a bit of acrylic medium and just grab some paint. So I'm going to mix that into some paint, and I'm going to come across this one here that's actually dried, that's already got some glazing on it, and it creates some interesting effects. I'm going to pick up some of the nickel azo and come in with that, and again some quite interesting effects in that. This is a very thin glaze, straight onto paper, not onto a colour underneath, and I think that shows that really they work better if you build them up. So I'm going to come in with a bit more. Let's come in with a bit of this white because I've got it ready. Give you anything from quite a strong effect to a very subtle one. Nice way of blending and building up. Do the same over this. So we can build up the layers. And actually that's one of the things I really enjoy doing, just building kind of layers, one on top of the other. And just to finish on this one, I take again, this is a little bit of white glazed down. I'm going to put that on. And if I take a bit of clean glazing fluid or acrylic medium, I can actually take away a bit of the colour that I've put down. As you can see, it will actually remove it, which can create some really interesting effects too in your work. So there's a few things there that I hope you might find interesting. And just to finish, I thought I'd mention this. I'm a great fan of golden paint, and I really like this thing they do with the lines. So the swatch of colour has black lines across, and depending how translucent or opaque the paint is, the lines will show or not show. And I think that's really useful, and I wish everybody would do it.